to the senator from Florida, and thank you, Madam President. I ask unanimous consent to enter into a colloquy with my friend, Senator Marshall.
Without objection.
Thank you, Madam President. It is no secret that President Biden's COVID-19 vaccine mandates have drawn major opposition here in the Senate. My Republican colleagues and I have introduced multiple pieces of legislation that chip away at the various impractical, unethical, and downright unconstitutional aspects of this latest power grab. Last week, I introduced the Keeping Our COVID-19 Heroes Employed Act, which would pull essential workers out from under these mandates and stop the White House from unilaterally firing them for refusing to submit to a shot. Think about how ludicrous that is. This, of course, is the heart of the issue. These pieces of legislation are not anti-vaccine. And in fact, our opposition isn't about vaccines at all. I've been vaccinated. I encourage people to talk to their physician. But this is all about the precedent the Biden administration is trying to set, namely that it is acceptable for the federal government to stand in between a patient and their doctor, and to overrule science and personal choice in the name of their personal political agenda. I think my colleague, Senator Marshall, knows a thing or two about preserving the importance of that doctor-patient relationship. Is that correct, Senator?
It is indeed. Thank you so much to the senior senator from Tennessee to ask me about something so near and dear to my heart, that patient-physician relationship. And I just want to start my remarks by saying I support the vaccine. I support the vaccine, but I also support the individual's right to decide whether they want the vaccine or not. And I think that's why it's so important to have this patient-physician relationship. I had the duty, the honor to treat thousands of women with a virus. And I learned very quickly that the same virus could cause different problems for different patients. And it was based upon their previous medical history, their underlying medical problems, what my advice might be. And what my concern today is that so many of these heroes of yesterday, the COVID-19 heroes of yesterday, are now being treated so poorly. They're being told to get the jab or else lose their job. This mandate's going to lead to unemployment. It's going to lead to more inflation and further disrupt our supply chain. And I just wish I could paint a face of all these people from Kansas that are reaching out to me saying, please don't make me make this choice between the jab or my job. I think of the nurses that I worked with in liberal Kansas when the ICU was overflowing. I think of the nuclear engineer folks and the union workers at Wolf Creek Nuclear Energy that kept our electricity on. I think of those union workers that worked for Department of Defense contracts in the aerospace industry. And now they're being kicked in the face. They're being told they're no longer essential, that they're no longer heroes. Senator Blackburn, I'm supposing there's heroes in Tennessee that are now being forgotten as well.
Yes, indeed. You are correct, Senator Marshall. And as I've said before, Tennessee is a supply chain and logistics state. Shipping, transportation, manufacturing. These are things that help form the backbone of our economy, and those industries employ thousands upon thousands of people in our state. And I will tell you, these thousands of people are speaking up, just as you have said they're speaking up in Kansas every day. I hear from people who see what's happening on the ground, from small business owners to truck drivers, and they are sounding the alarm bells. They know that Joe Biden's mandate will destroy their industries, and they're just not asking for carve-outs. What they're saying is, give us a plan A, a plan B, a plan C. Give us options. And Senator Marshall, I believe you've taken a different approach to pushing back on some of these mandates.
Well, thank you, Senator. And indeed, there are more options out there. There are indeed more tools in the tool shed that we can use. And we plan to oppose any efforts to enforce Joe Biden's vaccine mandate with all the other tools at our disposal, including blocking cloture on any continuing resolution in the absence of language protecting Americans from the mandates. In fact, 50 GOP senators recently supported this as an amendment to the CR in September. Senator Blackburn, I know that you also would be concerned about using any type of future funding to enforce this unconstitutional mandate.
Yes, indeed, Senator. I am very concerned. And the Biden administration has indeed weaponized the U.S. government against workers who love their job, against workers who are trying to earn a living and support their families. And we have to stand up and defend them. Think about it. The Biden administration is using taxpayer dollars to implement a program designed to fire the very people we need to repair our supply chains, to bring manufacturing plants back online, and to keep the public safe. And yes, our law enforcement officers are very concerned about this, but don't take my word for it. Ask some of these law enforcement unions. Ask the Fraternal Order of Police, the National Sheriff's Association, the National Border Patrol Council, what will happen if these mandates force them to fire their unvaccinated agents and officers. They're waving red flags right now because these mandates aren't just impractical and unethical, they are dangerous. They will take these men and women off the front lines and send them to the unemployment lines and make us vulnerable. Am I correct on this point, Senator Marshall?
Senator Blackburn, absolutely. I can't agree with you more. And one of the big concerns I have is our safety as well as our national security. I know that both Tennessee and Kansas have Army and National Guard units. And I've been told that perhaps half of the enlisted soldiers have not had their vaccine yet. And I encourage them to do that. But if they get separated from the military, it's going to leave a huge hole in our national security. But I'm also concerned that for those active duty soldiers who are now being separated from the military as well for refusing the vaccine. And I'm concerned what's going to happen to their record going forward. I was so discouraged when I found out the White House suggested that these soldiers get a dishonorable discharge. And in case you don't know what a dishonorable discharge means, you could be treated like a felon. You lose your VA benefits. You may lose some of your Second Amendment rights and some of your voting rights as well. And certainly, again, the impact to national security to losing thousands of our soldiers. Senator Blackburn, I'm sure that you have so many people that are reaching out to you of the COVID-19 heroes of Tennessee, and I appreciate you bringing this bill to the floor and so happy and honored to support it.
Thank you, Senator, and I'm appreciative to the senator from Kansas and to all of my colleagues who joined me on the floor today to fight this dangerous precedent set by these mandates. I think it is so vitally important for my colleagues on the other side of the aisle to understand that the American people are not interested in playing chicken with Joe Biden. Not at all. This isn't contrarian politics to them. This is a line in the sand between a power-hungry president who wants to strip them of their fundamental rights and get them fired from their job. I yield the floor.